Welcome to the channel. I'm Dr. Remarkable. We're really going to get straight into it, but I will say, if you like the content that you see here, please do not hesitate to like and subscribe for more content. I'm trying to put out at least 2 videos a week. We'll see if I can get there. And it's a discussion video, like I said, so if you have some comments, questions, concerns, or just want to really talk, put it in the comments below and I will respond right back. But let's get straight into it. As you've seen from the title, we're talking about killers. Killers in Dead by Daylight. And specifically, bad killers. Now, what constitutes a bad killer, you may ask? And that's a very good question. To me, a bad killer is a killer that's going to have trouble keeping up with the red ranks. For people that are new to the game or not really experienced, red ranks will be ranked 4 to 1, the top ranks in the entire game. Yes, many people will say they have differing opinions about what a bad killer is and what a good killer is, and whether getting a 4K easily in red ranks is really balanced. And I agree, partially. What I will say is that I think it should be a little bit of a challenge for the killer to obviously get a 4K. It's not supposed to be easy. There's 4 survivors. You're going to have a hard time trying to balance. There's 5 gens that need to be done. It's very difficult to try to balance the game. But what I will say is there's some killers that just basically give you almost no chance of getting a 4K, which, guys, for people that don't know, a 4K is 4 kills in the game, meaning you've killed everybody in the game. So if I say 1K, that's 1 kill, 2K, that's 2 kills, and so on and so forth. So, talking about 4Ks, there's a few killers that are like seen as the best killers in the game, right? We have Nurse, we have Spirit, there's Freddy. Freddy is arguable, but for usually most people find Freddy to be one of the top killers in the game with his buff. So, what is one thing that those 3 killers have in common, and a lot of the top killers have in common? It's not a lot of top killers, but the ones that do, it's map control. Nurse can teleport, Spirit can phase walk very quickly, and Freddy can also teleport from gen to gen. It's amazing, and map control is such a crucial part of the game because you have 4 survivors. There's one of you as a killer. There's a lot of times big maps, and yes, big maps do need to be changed. That's another video for another day, but without map control, without a way to control the map and move quickly around the map and get to different generators very quickly, a lot of times a killer is at a disadvantage just by the character that they are using. So when we're talking about those killers that give players disadvantages, for the most part I'm talking about Legion, Clown, Pig, and killers that are on that low tier, the low tier, you know. And they all have things in common as well. Terrible map control. Except one killer, I think we could say, which would be Legion. I think Legion has very good map control because of his frenzy, but we'll get into that in a minute. Let's talk about really the problem with these low tier killers. So like I've been speaking about, the main problem I believe is map control. When you look at people like Clown, you look at people like Bubba, you look at people like I said again, the Pig, their map control is not great because literally they have higher speeds than survivors, but really all they can do is walk around the map. They can run at maybe a little bit faster speed around the map. That's not gonna cut it when you have a big map and then you also have 4 really good survivors that can know how to survive chases for a long time. Yes, you can get better at chases, but a lot of times you're still gonna have to extend some chases. It's very hard to get it like a 1-shot down or to have chases only last 10 or 15 seconds with high red rank survivors if they're good, especially with survivor friends. So map control is really the biggest issue I think right now, which can be changed with map edits that we'll talk about in another video. But the second thing is lackluster power. Lackluster power. Now when we're looking at, that's where Legion comes in. When we're looking at Legion, when we're looking at the Clown, when we're looking at the Pig, we're looking at these things, and yes, they have creative powers, but they're lackluster. I'm talking about Legion. Let's look at Legion. He has a great map control because he can frenzy around. For people that don't know what the frenzy is, that means the Legion can basically run at a very fast speed for a limited amount of time around the map and hit people. That's cool. That part can be used for good map control, but then when looking at his power, that frenzy is supposed to have an impact. It doesn't. It doesn't. Because for Legion to kill you, Legion would have to hit you 4 times. And he goes out of his power after 2. Literally, it is a waste of time because he can put you into a little frenzy state where it doesn't really affect you. You just have to mend up, so it wastes time. But for him to actually kill you, he's gonna have to go outside of his frenzy, and right there, he's just a normal M1 killer. He's just a normal killer that you can loop around if you're a good survivor. That's not supposed to happen. Things like that, yes, there should be a partial M1 power, but Legion is so weak because his power is so lackluster. It's almost like playing another version of a survivor with a weapon that's slightly faster, to be completely honest. If we're looking at Legion, he needs to be buffed. He really does need to be buffed. And when we look at Pig in himself is good. He has stealth, he has his lunge attack. It's a very good concept. He's very good. Well, the one reason that he's lackluster is no, he doesn't have great map control, but he has those traps, and those traps are supposed to be good, but there's only 4 boxes on the map usually, right? And most people, I've done it on stream, I've done it before, a lot of people have done it before. They get the thing on their head, get off the hook, go straight to a box, and the first box that they get is unlocked. Even if it's not the first box they get, it's unlocked. It's still very easy to get to all boxes, get the thing off your head. There's no challenge to it, because a lot of times the timer doesn't even start immediately. It's crazy, and so when you look at the pig's power, his power is good, but it's lackluster in the fact that it literally just wastes time. These killers have powers that waste time but aren't very helpful. Now let's go to the clown's power. Yes, the clown's power is decent. It's decent. We'll say that. He can throw his bottles, his toxins. He throws his potions that are filled with toxin or whatever else. And basically for the survivor, it makes your vision very blurry. You scream out so the clown knows where you are, and you move slower. Good power in general, but for good survivors and people that have experience with clown, you can literally just dodge the bottles. If you dodge the bottles, clown is literally useless. Not to mention that when clown is throwing his bottles and refilling, he moves at a slower speed. It's a little ridiculous. You know, it's a little ridiculous. Like, because I believe the devs have good intentions, but when looking at higher skilled players, it's very hard for a killer that's in the red ranks to play and compete with 4 survivors that are in high ranks and are very good when they are playing characters like Legion or Clown. Not to say that it can't be done, but it's more difficult. In general, it's, if you were to tell me, or you were to tell most people, could I get a 4K with this killer, being it the Legion or Clown or something, most people would say you could, but it would be very, very hard as compared to a Spirit or a Nurse or a Frick. So what can be done? Literally, what can be done to make these killers that are probably like F tier, D tier, very low tiers, or some even mid tiers, what can we do, or not what can we do, but really what can the devs do, and what can we tell the devs or ask the devs to do to fix these killers? Well, really I'm going to focus on the 4 killers that we had in the thumbnail, because I really, in my opinion, think those are basically the worst killers that we have in the game. So we're talking about a Bubba, the Cannibal, we're talking about a Legion, the Clown, and Miss Piggy. Those are very good questions when you're looking at those 4, because all 4 are designed. You can see the designs are very cool. Just the implementation of those designs are not the best. So we're gonna start with Bubba. Okay? Bubba's very good. Bubba is very good in the fact that he has a one-shot down ability with his chainsaw. Really, I don't even think you would have to do that much more to buff it. What I would say is maybe make his chainsaw rev time a slight bit faster without add-ons, and maybe make his speed a little bit faster. I would say maybe you could add another secondary power to him, but that's up for the devs to do. I think off his base kit, I would say make his rev time a little bit faster for his chainsaw, so it's easier to one-shot down people instead of having to be basically in the open to get somebody. And also, you know, maybe make him speed up a little bit. Get into like a I don't know, not a frenzy mode, but like a cannibal angry mode. You know how he does this little thing where he misses something and goes into basically a tantrum? Give him a tantrum state where for a few seconds he's able to move faster, even if he doesn't rev up his chainsaw every 60 seconds or something like that. I think that would be a very cool power for him to have, a cool secondary power for him to have that could really change the way that people would play him, that could really make him a more popular player and make him more viable in high red rank games, even with survivor friends. And it would also give him better map control because he's moving around the map much quicker, right? Next, let's look at Legion. Let's look at our little boy Legion, our little group of killers. Legion is a, how do you say, bad killer? Very bad. Probably one of the worst in the game. Most likely the worst in the game. You know, that's up for debate. But Legion he's just not good right now. He could be good. He has potential to be good, but he's just not that right now. So what can we do to change that? Number 1, make his frenzy a little bit, like the min session from getting hit with a frenzy, a little bit shorter. Basically what I'm saying is you basically get downed quicker if you don't mend faster. So instead of having, I don't know how many seconds we normally have, but let's say we have 20 seconds to mend, right? Take that down to like 15. Not something drastic, but like 15, 10. Something that makes it more crucial. Like the person that gets hit with the frenzy, they have to basically mend almost immediately or they're gonna die. As long as they're not being chased, of course. That, number one, will put more pressure on survivors to have to basically mend. Now, I will say that can make Legion a little bit more annoying, but I mean, in my opinion, he's already an annoying killer to begin with, so hey, you might as well make it viable, right? Secondly, I just don't know. I feel like maybe make his frenzy last longer or do something with it. If that's what his power is going to be, I feel like there's edits that could be made, there's changes that could be made to make that frenzy a little bit more viable, make that frenzy a little bit more hard for survivors to really counter. I think at the end of the day, Legion used to be, when he first came out, was a completely OP killer. Like, you literally could not beat him. Now he's just one of the weakest killers in the game, and I feel like, though I don't really necessarily have that many ideas of what to do with him because he's such an interesting character, I think he definitely needs to be shown some love very soon. And all I can really think of right now is really just making his frenzy a little bit more drastic. So when a survivor gets hit by the frenzy, they have less time to mend, or they get downed immediately. And for those that don't know, when you're hit by Legion's frenzy, you have to mend by a certain amount of time or you get downed immediately. And for people that don't do that, well, then you get picked up, put on the hook, and there you go. But yeah, that's what I've been thinking about him. Now, let's look at our good friend Piggy, Miss Piggy, Pig from the Saw chapter. What can we do? I think actually Pig is very good as is. I've mentioned this before. I think really all you really have to do is fix those headpieces. Make them harder to unlock, to get off your head, make them the countdown shorter, or put there more boxes on the map so they have a harder time finding those boxes. Not finding the boxes, but getting to all of them in time. I think still make it very possible to get them all off in time, and you could get lucky and get it off your head immediately, but make it more of a challenge, because when I play versus Pig, I get that thing on my head. Yes, it's more of a nuisance than anything else. It wastes my time, but I'm almost always able to get it off, unless the Pig is literally tunneling me. So make it a little bit more difficult, because as is, there's really like no point. There's no point to basically put a helmet on. It just wastes some time, which can be good if you have good strategy. But you know, when you're playing with the high ranks, rank 1s, rank 2s, rank 3s, you're playing against those, it's not going to really make much of a difference, to be honest, except for wasting a few, maybe 30 seconds. So I think if you change those head pieces, make them a little bit harder to get off, make them a little bit, put more boxes to make it take more time, those could be drastic changes that you can see a lot of success with the Pig in high ranks. And lastly, our good friend Twisted Santa Claus. Everybody knows and loves his gut, the Clown. I love the Clown. He has a great design. I don't love playing against him, but I love the creativity that was brought to him, having those potions and being able to break those bottles. But like I said before, all you have to do is evade the bottles. So here's what I'm thinking. His bottles are his main power, so keep that, but make his bottles more deadly. So if you run into it, there are certain items that if you run into if the Clown hits the survivor with the potion a couple of times, they're now have the ability to get hit down with one hit. So what I'm saying is maybe put it in his base kit, right? Put that in his base kit. Make those bottles a little bit more lethal. Make it much harder to evade those bottles. I would say maybe even spread the radius of the gas. I probably wouldn't stick with that one because the radius of the gas is already pretty good. But I think in general, if you do change something about these bottles or give him more bottles, something like that, where he can work with a little bit more than just having like 4 to 5 bottles and being so slow when he throws them and fills them up. If you can just change speeds, change the powers of the bottles a little bit to be more dramatic and more drastic, I think you're doing a good thing. I think you're doing a very good thing. And Clown just went boosted up from the bottom tiers to at least mid tier, at the very least. So I think that's good. When it comes to map control, Clown in some way it has very bad map control. We mentioned Bubba. We said what we could do with his. Pig, I don't really think Pig necessarily needs great map control. Their version of map control would be putting the helmet on people's heads because it takes time for them to get it off. And Legion's version of map control is Frenzy, of course. But when it comes to Clown, what do we do there? I don't know. Leave a comment below if you have an idea of what we can do with Clown. Because personally, I really don't know what you could do with Clown that can still stick with the theme and stick with his powers and his story, but be good for map control. That would be a very good thing. Maybe if they're working on gens, if a gas hits the gen, it shuts it down for 15 seconds. That's way too drastic. I understand as I'm saying it now, but you get what I'm saying. So, you know, Clown, love you, bud, love you, Twisted Santa Claus, but you know, we obviously do need a buff as well. So, the time has come. We need to pick which killer we think needs a buff. If you think that none of these killers need a buff before another killer that you personally think is worse, let me know in the comments below, like I said. But these are really the 4 killers that I think really need the most love right now. It's between Pig, Clown, Legion, and Bubba to me. I think Bubba's very good. I think Bubba's probably out of the 4. I think Bubba's probably has the best potential and the most potential right now, and he definitely needs a lot of love. But let's talk about it. I'm going to say Legion. Legion. Our friendly group of killers they're suffering right now, and they recently did just get a nerf buff ? They called it like a buff, but it seems more like a nerf, where min times are shorter, and it just seems like it benefits the survivor even more. And the devs seem to have a love-hate relationship with the Legion, not gonna lie. So I think if anybody, the Legion needs to be buffed. Anytime I get into a game with Legion, am I worried? Not really. Now, the Legion can definitely kill people and murder people all the time, and for sure, that is a true thing. Like, if you're a good killer, you can really master any killer and get 4Ks consistently. But, you know, the likelihood of getting a 4K with Legion, in high ranks especially if you're playing with survivor friends, not very high. Now, people might want to argue and say that, again, like I said earlier in the video, that getting a 4K is not a measure of balance. That's true. But I'll tell you this. It can be very easy to get a 2K with a Spirit and Nurse and become very difficult, or much harder than it is with Spirit and Nurse to get a 2K with Legion. At the end of the day, there's still not a balance between the killers. I want all killers, obviously not all killers to be the same level. Like, in the ideal world, we would love the killers to all be the same level of skill and difficulty and all that. But we know it doesn't work that way. There are certain killers that will always be better than others, but there are things that you can do to bring the killers from the bottom of the dang pile. At least kind of give them a little change. Just like they did with Freddy. They showed Freddy some love, and now he's still, you know, you can still counter Freddy and still play and have a good game against him, but it's easier to get kills as Freddy than it was a long time before. So that's what I'll say. I think in the end of the day, they all need love. Legion, Bubba, Clown, and Pig. But I think who needs it the most? I think Legion, because I think Bubba, you can still win some games. Pig, you could definitely still win some games with that. And Clown, Clown might be number 2, because yeah, he kind of needs a little bit of love too, or a lot of love. But at the end of the day, I think as long as the devs keep trying to work and trying to give us some buffs, I don't know why they have this hate-love relationship with Legion. I mean, you know, the game will be in a good state, in my opinion. But thank you guys so much for watching this channel, for watching this video. If you like what you see, please again like and subscribe. If you want to get in on this discussion, please leave a comment below. I'll answer back. We can just talk it out in the comments below. I also stream, guys. I now moved from Twitch to Mixer. If you want to become a part of the Classic Gang and learn what the Classic Gang is, then just leave a like or leave a follow in Mixer. Go watch the streams, tell me what you like, tell me what you don't like, and we'll talk. Let's just talk. And lastly, to stay up to date of when I post videos, obviously subscribe, but also if you want to hear thoughts, want to see the making behind the videos that I do and our growth as the Closet Gang grows and becomes stronger, then follow the Instagram and the Twitter. I support other people. If you're also a fellow streamer and you want to get some support, then don't hesitate to like and follow the Instagram and Twitter, because I'm definitely active on both of those. So I will see y'all guys later. I love you, and everybody just try your best to be very, very remarkable. Bye.